Alhamdulillah, ahmaduhu wasta'inuhu wastadihi wastaghfiruhu wa u'minu bihi jalla wa ala wa la akfuruhu wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Alhamdulillah, the title of the talk tonight is Good Visions. And one of the papers I was reading from the other night, it talks about hasty suggestions. You know, the way you get something, the hasty suggestion or infusing into the heart. You know, now we talk, I'll put it this way, on the 3 levels of revelation. One is you get the word directly from the angel, from Jibril, and it's in words, or it could be like a little bell ringing that kind of gets you ready for it. It can be weighty too, because once the Prophet ﷺ, he was getting revelation, and he was leaning, his leg was on one of the other brother's leg. He said, man, that was, I just didn't move, but that was pressure, you know. Minwari, hijab, from behind a veil. That could be in a trance, like that could be, a trance or a dream. And that too is infusing into the heart. So let me read a little bit. It said, it is an idea put into the mind as distinguished from revelation proper, which is a message conveyed in words. That's revelation is proper. Revelation in the form, revelation which is a revelation in this form is common to both prophets and those who are not prophets. Let me kind of explain that. And it is more or less in this sense, the sense of putting suggestion into the mind. Now that's what we're talking. A suggestion into the mind, called limad or waswasa. You know, like the reason we're talking about good visions tonight is because, remember, waswasa kanas. He whispers into your heart. He's whispering real, like, you know, it ain't no secret. It's between you and him. He's whispering into your heart. He's infusing ideas into you. Now the thing about him, he withdraws. Because he ain't going to whisper nothing good, you know, generally. And when you get in trouble, you're going to blame yourself for it. You're not going to say, man, the devil made me do it. You know, he going to back up. And actually now he's out of the picture. He done made a suggestion. You done listened. You done acted on it. And he ain't nowhere around. I mean, he got his eye on you, but he ain't nowhere around. On the other hand, infusing into the heart, gotta remember, if the shaitan, if waswasa khannas can whisper bad stuff into your heart, then the angels or other beings that have that power can infuse, right, good thoughts. And that's why we're talking about good visions tonight. So it goes on to say, the devil is spoken of as bringing inspiration to their friends. Okay. The second mode this is what we're talking about here, of God speaking to man is said to be from behind a veil. Min wari hijab. Hijab is a veil, it's a covering. In other words, and this includes ruya, dream, kashif, vision. You know, one of Imam Khomeini's older writings from back in 1941 was called Kashif al-Asrar, the uncovering of secrets. So ruya, dream, kashif, vision, and ilham, when voices are heard or uttered in a state of trance, the recipient being neither quite asleep nor fully awoke. This form of revelation is common both to prophets and those who are not prophets. And in the simplest form, ruya, or the dream, is a universal experience of the whole of humanity. So, ruya, dream, kashif, vision, ilham. Ilham is the revelation that's coming to a human being that's not a prophet. But it's ilham, it's not wahi. There's a whole different. Out of the three types of good ideas, prophethood, the third level, the top level is wahi. And that's only for prophets except in a couple of ways. Because the shaitan, when he whispers, that's a kind of inspiration too. And the Quran uses that word for him. Moses' mother, when the Quran used the word inspired her to put him in the water. Well, wahi was used for her. She was neither a prophet, but she was given this idea. Place him in the water. And the river will take him to somebody that's be an enemy to him and to the people. But in the long run, that was the best decision. And she was inspired to do that. So I want to talk a little bit tonight about good visions, about things that be coming to people, you know, at that. Okay, if we have Maulana Maududi that can receive inspiration, ilham, you know, they say, yeah, he was inspired to, you know, Maulana Maududi, all of his writings and tafsir. If they say Sayyid Qutb was inspired to, it was inspiration, not revelation, ilham, good visions. I can imagine him writing, you know, that tafsir of Quran that he wrote in the shade of Quran was so heavy that it caused his martyrdom. That's why Abdul Nasser martyred him, because that was deep. That boy was deep. When you read Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui's writings, you would know some of it is inspiration, because it's above what's hitting everybody else. It's good stuff, not revelation. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was Khatam and Nabiyyin, seal of the prophets. It's a lock on that. But there will be people that will be hit with good visions, good ideas. I think all of us have been maybe just laying down, and all of a sudden an idea hit us that explains the last 20 years of what's been, you know, it just clears up a lot of stuff. That happens to everybody. Okay. Before I get to that, I got a phone call the other day, yesterday, from Khadijah, and I hope she's watching. So Khadijah was telling me, you ought to be ashamed of yourself, talking under women's clothes and talking about this and that. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I said, well, look here. So I kind of ran some stuff to her. And when I'm talking to her, I'm talking. I don't listen to nothing. I just keep talking because they're not listening. They didn't call me to hear no news or nothing. They just called me to run something. And they call you for all kind of dumb reasons, which doesn't make any difference. But it gives me a chance to explain a few things. Number one, when I said that as a young man, I had been raised amongst boys and men most of my early life. So I said, when my wife at that time had said something that girls do that, ladies do that. It's not abnormal. I didn't know that then. I know it now because when we have marriage counseling, ask anybody, the first thing I say, men and women are different. Men and women are different. They don't see life, they don't see the same thing, they see it different. And that's a big step in maturity. It didn't take long to catch on, but I said, that's a good thing. I said, so when I'm talking about sisters, I just want everybody to understand that was something, that was 50 years, that was so long ago, it's way back there. But that's the first time I come in contact with it. And I thought, what? You said what? Okay, men don't think like that. But as you move along and you mature, you find out that unless you find out or discover that men and women are different, then you'll have an unhappy existence. You'll be mad all the time. And you'll be mad at each other because that's the way it'll be. So the thing is, for men and women to have certain things they're working toward, I always talk about design some goals. We're working toward what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so now we got somewhere where we're going. You know what I mean? And that should be more important than anything else that we come up with. You know what I mean? So it gives you something to keep focused. The other thing was, you talking about women's vagina and you talking about... No, I remember pretty well what I was saying. Look, what I said was, my whole theme for a while, for about over an hour in that talk, was those things that we have come in contact with and we escaped. The one she was jumping up and down about, you talking all of that white woman's clothes and talking about, I said, no. So what I was telling you is that as a Negro, the white man throws out all kind of, can you imagine what you come in contact with? And it's regular, it's not minute to minute, but daily, weekly, and at least a few serious things monthly, all the time. So I was explaining the difference between me and them. What's the difference? If you look at the Black Panther Party, right? Man, one of the sisters went by to pick up one of the brothers. I ain't gonna mention his name, but you could think of his history, to take him to a rally. That girl had to run around. She had to backpedal and fight and do everything for a whole half an hour. Because he was, now it would be like abuse or stalking. It would be, how people used to do. That was one of the things that made it easy to finish off the party. Because people's mind, they were not Muslims, they were Negroes. When they went to Algeria, I asked, you could imagine who I was talking to. He said, man, he didn't use the word vagina, but he said vagina got us put out of Algeria. That was an Arab country. The people were Muslims. And I saw after a while, I'd go to a nightclub and it was only men there. I said, man, everybody's drinking tea and stuff. I was like, man, good God Almighty. It took a few minutes for me to get the picture, but I got it. I said, man, this is serious. So Negroes were not prepared for struggle. We were just not prepared for a holistic struggle. We were prepared for, just make noise at the white man. But other people gained their freedom over a long period of time. What I mean to say is, we always talk about a protracted struggle. It's not a short-range struggle, this is a long-range struggle. Okay? And what I mean to say is that in order to make it to where we are today, we had to overcome everything in the white man's arsenal. Everything. That's how we got here. That's how we got here. We overcame everything he threw at us. I mean everything. Money, women, arrogance, stupidity. I was looking at one of the old pictures. Let me see if I can find it. I had to overcome literally everything in the arsenal. Why? Because he's going to throw everything at you. He's going to make sure that you don't make it. And for us to get through all of that, if I said I'm running on a trail and a crew-cut white man is running with a nice young white lady, you can tell the guys in police, she don't look like one, but he looks like a police. And she runs right, and we're going around the loop. And that white woman ran and got right in front of me, stopped, and crossed her leg like this and bent over. And I looked up in her vagina. Why were they doing that? They was doing that on purpose. That means I get a credit by a credit by my name for not being influenced by that. The other thing is 14 years of celibacy in Oakland. I don't even know no nigga that's got no 14 years celibacy. I don't know any of them. Arrogance. Look at this temporary arrogance. This is temporary arrogance. No, you can see it. Yeah. No, can you? Uh-huh. Just look at it close. Look at that head back, and I mean, that's temporary arrogance. I got lucky. I know about arrogance. I know what it do to you. I think I got poisoned with 3 months of this stuff. You can see my head is leaning so far back I could tip over backwards. I'm the nigger, right? I'm the sharpest nigga in the United States, and I know it. You could buy a house with that suit. What it costs? You could buy a house with that suit. This just is silly. Except I didn't do this much because, see, black and white was fine, but this one right here, I stopped. I took it off. I said, that nigga looked like a clown. That's the same combination as this one, right? This is sharp, and I looked at this one. Said, that nigga looked like a clown. I stopped doing it. What I'm telling you is, we had to overcome everything in the arsenal, right? Okay, they're not like that in Oakland. They're not like that. They don't have the discipline. They don't have the self-control, right? Okay, and their behavior. For instance, you remember when we had the program here, our last conference here. Remember Khadijah beat up the white girl. Yeah. Beat her up right down there. Khadijah beat up Abdul Malik's wife. He beat up Zakiya. Zakiya was fine. You know what I mean? Another high yellow woman out there, Khadijah beat her up. And I was telling her, look, you can't beat the pretty off of them women. You can't beat the pretty off them women. And it don't enhance your looks or who you are at all by beating them up. That's what Allah gave them. And I was telling, I said, there's internal beauty. Internal beauty based on behavior and attitude. I said, that's open to everybody. I said, physical beauty, according to what people call it, you ain't got that. You ain't gonna, you might have it, but can't nobody see it. Right? Right. I said, so you got people that you like. See, like, for instance, Mukhtar Abdul Malik is a little, supposedly, a matchmaker. So he hooked up Khadijah with Mukhtar. And